Hello, and welcome to the CBF Gathering. I'm Brittany Stillwell, the Minister with Students and Families at Second Baptist Church here in Little Rock. It has been a beautiful day here in Arkansas. I hope you have caught glimpses of beauty throughout your day as well. Y'all, it's been a long few days, full of unknowns. And to be honest, as I'm recording this video, I have no idea how the election will turn out. Yes, it has been a year full of unknowns. Unknowns in our churches, unknowns in our country, unknowns in our own families, and even some in the fellowship. So it seems right and good that we would gather here together tonight, to be reminded of the God who holds us all together, and to be reminded that we are not alone. Over the past week, we've heard a lot that we need to have patience. In fact, I feel like we've heard that a lot this past year. And I have to admit, I'm not very good at the patience thing. This is the sign for patience, and even I don't like that. It just seems so blech. And sometimes I wonder if patience is always what we need. At best, it convinces us to sit still while we wait. And at worst, well, it convinces us to sit still while we wait. I recently stumbled across a line in a Jan Richardson blessing that resonated in my soul. She wrote, "Pray not to be patient, but to persist." Pray not to be patient, but to persist. Okay, now that's a prayer I can pray. This prayer at least gives me something to do while I wait. And you want to know the sign for persistence? I don't know what it says about my personality, but I love this sign. It's a little feisty, isn't it? Patience, persistence. I think I can work with that. Friends, we're going to need persistence in the days ahead. As we struggle with trying to do church in a pandemic, as we try to navigate through the effects of an ugly and divisive election, as we try to plot the path forward in our fellowship, and as we head into holidays full of unknowns, we will have to be patient, yes, and that is good. But even more than that, I think we're going to need to be persistent. Today, as we gather, I hope that you are able to draw strength to persist on the journey ahead. And I hope that you are reminded that you are not alone as we persist together. May it be so of all of us. Amen.
And the problem is this: we were bought with a kiss, but the cheek still turned, even when it wasn't hit. And I don't know what to do with a love like that, and I don't know how to be in love like that, when all the love in the world is right here among us, and hatred too. So we must choose what our hands will do. Where there is pain, let us bring grace. Where there is suffering, bring serenity. For the those afraid. Let us be brave. Where there is misery, let us bring them relief. And surely we can change. And surely we can change something. And the problem, it seems, is with you and me, not the love who came to repair everything. And I don't know what to do with a love like that, and I don't know how to be in love like that. But all the love in the world is right here among us, and hatred too. So we must choose what our hands will do. Where there is pain, let us bring grace. Where there is suffering, bring serenity. For those afraid, help them be brave. Where there is misery, bring expectancy. And surely we can change. And surely we can change. And surely we can change. And surely we can change something.
Hey CBF family, my name is Amy Jacober, and I'm so glad I get to spend some time with you. I serve here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've also been a professor for both undergraduate and seminary, and so love ministry, and it's been my life for as long as I can remember. I'm from Phoenix, so I'm from the West, which that alone kind of makes life a little bit different. We're in this very weird liminal space, literally, as I'm recording this. So just for a little context, it's November 5th. The election has taken place, but we have not yet announced who's even going to be president. It's unclear. It's 2020, so, there's that and all of the things that have come with that. It's also, I did mention it's November 5th, right? It's 98 degrees here. Our weather has been insane. Some of you are probably listening where it's snowing, and we're out here in the sunshine and the heat. So it feels in many ways like the world is upside down. So as I was trying to think through what would I want to share in this very upside down world, I don't want to give you platitudes. I don't want to give you something that just feels good, because I think we've had a lot of things that have felt good, but actually haven't been transformative. I think my generation, at least, was told that things were always going to be better and many things were possible, but we're all feeling a little bit like maybe we were sold a bill of goods. And instead, what we needed to be told was there are many things that are possible, and there are difficulties that are going to come. So I mentioned I get to pastor a church out here. The name of our church is Harbor. And so Harbor Church here in Phoenix, we're a multicultural church. We're a church that's largely made up of people who have somehow, quite frankly, been hurt in church or who never thought they would be back in church. They love the idea of Jesus, but they have so many questions and they never felt like they had a space where they could ask those questions. And so we've created a community that is serious about faith formation, but that seriousness sometimes means we move a little slow. Sometimes it means that we're wrestling with things and we look a little rough around the edges, and I don't know that I would want it any other way. Some of you may be in places where you're feeling a little rough around the edges, and it's okay. One of the things that we've been doing is really looking a lot at the prophets. We've studied and we've walked through the book of Jeremiah. Last week we were looking at Habakkuk, and we keep having this conversation that you need to be able to lament. We have to name what is wrong and stop pretending like everything is all right. Christendom has changed. We have to own that and know that. But it doesn't mean that God has changed. In fact, it invites us into a space of greater faithfulness. We're very blessed that my husband and I have a really good friend who's a rabbi, and we were talking one day about what does it mean to be faithful and a part of a community. And one of the things that Rabbi Dan said in response to this conversation, he said, we've always been a persecuted people. We were always kind of half a step away from something terrible. And he said, and so what we had was our faith. We may not have had stability in home, in country, in finances. And he said, but what we had always was God. And he said, and that's what has made us such a strong people. And I wonder if that's not a lesson that we need to hear. When things feel so unstable around us right now, what we do have is God. And so I want for us, we're going to look a little bit at a passage that's going to feel incredibly familiar. This is from Matthew 5, and it's the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus, leading up to this point in time, he's wandered around and he's been doing healings, he's been doing teachings, he has his disciples with him. But as he has wandered around Galilee, people have started to listen in and overhear and join in. And there are now multitudes. And so we start in Matthew chapter 5. It says, when Jesus saw the multitudes, he saw the crowds, he went up on the mountain. And after he sat down, his disciples came to him. And opening his mouth, he began to teach to them. Now I'm going to pause right there because Jesus wasn't trying to teach to everyone. Jesus was teaching for the in crowd, those who were adherents, those who were saying, I'm serious about my faith. But Jesus also knew there was a whole crowd around, and so they were eavesdropping. When we are in our churches, when we are living our lives in everyday discipleship, there are going to be those who are going to get us because they know the jargon, they know the in-speak, and those who are simply watching. And they're watching for when we mess up, but they're also noticing when there's something different. And so here we have Jesus. He's modeling this for us. He begins to teach his disciples, and he says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And that poor in spirit, it always seems like such a sad way to start. But when you unpack it, poor in spirit simply means that you are humble enough to recognize that you cannot do it just on your own. My guess is most of the people tuning into this are in leadership, which means somehow you've found a position of leadership. But what that also means is you've got some kind of confidence, some kind of training, some kind of something that has said, no, I can lead others. I can do this. Now, the difficulty with that is sometimes those of us who are in leadership think that we are enough to be able to do it. Now, I've also been in this long enough to know that an awful lot of leaders are incredibly insecure, and what they project to others is far different from what they feel. Blessed are the poor in spirit, or those who are humble enough to be able to say, I can't do this. I can't do this on my own. I know I'm not strong enough, I'm not wise enough, but what I can do, God, is lean on you. When we are poor in spirit, we realize that we are at the end of ourselves. And when we finally get to the end of ourselves, we're then leaning on God, who is more than enough. So the next verse, it's blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. You can't mourn what you don't grieve. And when it says blessed are those who mourn, it isn't just talking about those who have physically lost someone to death, but mourning is when you look around and you realize the world is not as it should be. Those who are mourning are recognizing that racism is running rampant, and we grieve. That sexism is woven into our culture, and we grieve. That ableism is a part of the systems of how they've been placed. We recognize and we know that the world is not as it should be. And we mourn that loss and we name it out loud. Mourning isn't simply for those who have lost someone physically, though it may be. But that idea of mourning, it's being awake to what's happening in and around us and being able to say that and be a prophetic voice. And you will be comforted. It goes on to blessed are the gentle, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. I love this one because the idea of being gentle isn't simply, oh, well, it's okay. I'm just not going to say anything. I don't want to hurt you. The idea of being gentle is being so strong that you don't have to prove it. The idea of being gentle and meek isn't somebody who's pathetic and in the corner and can't do anything, but it's somebody who is powerful and understands their strength so much so that they know how to steward it. They know how to manage it, but they also are willing to use it. When somebody is able to rebuke or reprove with a gentle word, it turns people back to Christ. You go in like a wrecking ball and you simply crush someone. We go on, and I don't have time to go through every single one of these, but I at least want to mention them and then get to the very end. So we looked at blessed are the gentle. We go on to verse 6, and it says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. 8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. 9, and I think this is one that we're going to be needing. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Our world is in chaos. We in the church and as leaders have a position of hope, or at least we should. May we be peacemakers. May we be intentionally reaching out. And that doesn't mean being Christian nice. That doesn't mean just saying nothing because you're trying to avoid conflict. In fact, what it means is moving headlong into difficult situations, but with the confidence that you are going with a call from the Creator of the universe. As you seek to build bridges, as you are trying to create spaces of restoration and reconciliation for people, it's not going to be easy. You will be misunderstood. You will be called names. You may be called unchristian. In fact, Jesus knew this because he goes on in verse 10 and says, blessed are those who've been persecuted for their sake of righteousness. Yours is the kingdom. Blessed are you when others insult you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you. It says, rejoice and be glad, for your reward in heaven is great. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. May we as the church recognize that we are indeed at the end of our rope, but we are not at the end of our God. May we mourn. May we recognize that things are not as they should be, and may that grieve us deeply. But may we take that grief and allow that to propel us into places of strength where we are actively peacemakers. And may you understand that you are not alone if you are misunderstood and persecuted. But indeed, you are with a great cloud of witnesses. Prophets who've come before you, prophets who are among you, and prophets who desperately need you to join them. May you be blessed as you work through and think through what it is that you need to be doing, what it is, who it is that you need to be as God has called you into your positions of leadership. Amen.
Hi everybody, I'm Rick Burnett. I'm one of CBF's Global Missions Field personnel, and I also manage CBF Domestic Disaster Response. The 2020 hurricane season has been one for the record books, tied only with 2005 for the number of named storms. And this is following 4 years of other very active hurricane seasons. Until this year started, this hurricane season started, we were still dealing with disaster response related to Hurricane Maria, which happened in 2017, Hurricane Michael, which occurred in 2018, and Hurricane Dorian, which took place last year in the Bahamas. And speaking of the work in the Bahamas, we were on track to be wrapping up work there, which we are still trying to do over the next few months. And we've spent close to $200,000 in terms of supporting materials and shipping those materials, as well as other types of disaster response. And so now in 2020, we started off the hurricane season with Hurricane Hannah, which caused significant flooding in the Rio Grande Valley. As a result, we've been partnering with CBF Texas and CBF Fellowship Southwest, as well as churches in the Rio Grande for recovery. So we've provided around $30,000 for that effort. In early September, we then had another significant storm in southwest Louisiana in the city of Lake Charles when Hurricane Laura struck. And then not 6 weeks later, Hurricane Delta struck again. We have a significant partnership with our National Baptist friends in Lake Charles, and we're expecting another $40,000 minimum to be needed to help to facilitate that response. The Florida Panhandle was also hit by Hurricane Sally. There are households and communities still needing help. We're requesting cleanup bucket kits and volunteers who can go down and help out. We have faced significant funding challenges this year, but with the expenditures that we've had to make, we've had very little revenue come in. So as we're approaching the holidays, we ask that you consider what your congregation and what you can do individually towards supporting CBF disaster response. We need your prayers as always. Our partners in recovery need your prayers. And we also have opportunities for volunteering, even in this time of COVID, as we'll be following COVID-related volunteer procedures. We thank you for your support, and we join your prayer for those communities that are continuing to recover. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lauren McDuffie, and I am the Associate Pastor at First Baptist Church in Moorhead, Kentucky. I have been part of the CBF family for basically my entire life, and there are so many things that I am grateful for in the life of our fellowship. But one of the things I am most grateful for is all the ways that I have been given space to discern and nurture my call to ministry through the work of the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. When I was in college and then in seminary, I participated for several summers in what was at that time called the Collegiate Congregational Internship Program, now called Student.Church. And these summer internships were opportunities for me to try my hand at the work of ministry and see exactly what life in that work might look like. And I learned a lot of practical skills in getting the opportunity to do that work for a summer, and that was very important. But it wasn't just about the work experience. As much as anything, those summers were about the mentors that I was connected through the churches that I served with, and about the connections to lifelong friends in ministry among the other interns who I met through the CCI program. And those individuals have become dear friends and people who are now my peers in ministry. And having those connections is incredibly important as I have gone through seminary and pursued this career in ministry. And of course, I am also deeply grateful for the CBF Fellows program and to have been part of the most recent cohort that just recently completed our 2 years in that program. And again, the tools provided by that program, the education provided by that program, there's plenty of practical information about how to be a better minister, and that is all very important, and I am very grateful for that. But it is also the lessons in how to take better care of myself as a minister that I am so grateful for. And again, all of the connections that I have developed with leaders in that program, with the fellow pastors who have been part of that cohort with me. These are, again, peers in ministry, and the friendships with those people will be what sustains me through this work for years to come. And it is so clear that having space to build those relationships is one of the most important ways to begin to build a successful life in ministry, because this is not work that can be done well alone. We need to follow this call in community, and through these 2 programs and countless other opportunities, CBF has helped me to find that community. I've heard a lot of people talk about ministry during a pandemic as they didn't teach us that in seminary, and that's true. They didn't teach us this in seminary, but I feel prepared to navigate the unexpected that has come our way in this season and in many other seasons, thanks to the opportunities I've had to learn and grow along the way, and thanks to the people who I have the opportunity to be in conversation with as I continue to seek how best to minister in my community. And those opportunities have been provided by the work of CBF, and for that I am deeply grateful.
I woke the other night to the chirp of an alarm. Actually, I didn't wake up. Cameron, my wife, did, and she said, "Hey, the smoke alarm is out of batteries." And it was 2 a.m. I mean, these things never run out of batteries during the day. So I got up and walked to the hallway to listen for the next chirp. Because, with those old smoke alarms, it's almost impossible to tell where the noise is coming from. So you have to just wait and follow the chirping sound. And I'm groggy and listening, tripping around, waiting to hear if the chirp of the alarm is coming from the hallway or a bedroom or downstairs somewhere. Well, it was the hallway, and it wasn't the smoke alarm. It was the carbon monoxide detector. The battery was dead, and so I took it off the ceiling and took the battery out, but unfortunately, the replacement batteries were on the other side of the house, downstairs, almost all the way to the garage, Did I mention it was 2 a.m.? So in my bleary-eyed state, I started my justifications. We have other carbon monoxide detectors. There's only like a few hours till morning. I can just replace it then. So I set the alarm down on the bathroom counter, sans battery. Then I laid down in bed and stared at the clock. My body was tired, but my mind was awake with possibilities. Thinking maybe it wasn't chirping at all. Maybe it was alerting me. Maybe something is wrong. Carbon monoxide makes you sleepy after all. You just drift away in comfort into a sleepy death. I kept thinking I should wake up. I should replace the batteries. But then I would think, this bed is warm. I'm safe. I think I'll stay right here. It's hard to make decisions in a comfortable state. It's hard to make good decisions when you're half asleep. Only a crisis leads to change. But when do we recognize the crisis, if ever? Especially when the alarms are silenced and we're comfortably lulled to sleep. We're living through a moment that's calling us to act. Now, this past Sunday, the lectionary gospel reading was the parable of the wise and foolish bridesmaids. The wise bridesmaids brought extra oil for their lamps because they were ready for the wait. They were ready to make their way to the wedding banquet when the groom gave the word. We've spent a lot of time waiting these past days, this past year. We've lived through extraordinary times. And this crisis is revealing our faith. The children of God are being revealed in this world, the fools and the wise. God loves all. All are invited to the wedding banquet. But some of us don't have any oil. The jig is up. The fools are exposed. Too many Christians are calling fools wise. Lies are called truth. Power is praised, and the poor pay our bills. Which makes me wonder, have we been lulled to sleep? Has the church in America gotten so comfortable, so cozy with powerful people, so impressed with its own relevance that we missed the alarms? We silenced the prophets, who are too marginalized to be heard above the raucous fray of religious bigotry. And now our sanctuaries are filled with the noxious fumes of greed, selfishness, and racism. And so we sleep through the call to come to the banquet. Sure, we've tried to prepare people. The groom is coming. Come out to meet him. But mostly, they see us and wonder if we're serious. They see we don't have any extra oil in our hands. They see us and wonder, seriously, do you believe this stuff? Friends, it's time we wake up to this moment. It's the one God has prepared us for. We can meet this moment, but only together.